What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So we're going to be doing the weekly Forex outlook and reviews. Looking forward to next week, as this week was pretty slow. I personally only took 2 trades, 1 win, 1 break even, but the ranges that the markets were playing out last week were just a joke. So looking forward to next week. Just before I get started, please remember what I'm telling you now is of my own opinion, and this is not financial advice. So the 11 pairs that we're going to be going over today is going to be the dollar index, pound USD, euro USD, pound JPY, USD JPY, USD Swiss franc, USD CAD, gold, Aussie dollar US dollar, New Zealand dollar US dollar, and euro yen. So let's take a look at the dollar index. First things first, let's mark our structural highs. So we have a level around the 97.70 area. We can see price hasn't broken above this for quite some time now. So I'll be monitoring to see how price comes back to this key level. And for our major structural low, we can see here where price created a level in the past around 96.50. That's as a whole number. And now we can see price came back and reacted from it. So this is a range. We can see the market is kind of moving sideways compared to what it was doing before in terms of trending. We can see that it's ranging. Doesn't mean that it's not tradable, just means we need to be aware of that. Based on the simple fact that price has come back to this key level in the past, we've had a reaction from it, and we can see that the market is stepping down, making structural lower highs and lower lows. In theory, what we should see is the market come back down to some of these structural levels before the market decides either to break to the upside or downside. At the moment, the likelihood of price continuing down, looking at how structure is forming, is much higher than it is going up. However, what I'll be looking for next week is for this continuation back down to the structural level low for selling opportunities or weakness with the dollar/euro. And if the market comes back to some of these structural highs, then we could be looking for a reaction from this level for continuation sells. That's how I'll look at the dollar index. Again, there's no real trend or any substance to go by other than our major structural high and low. I have them marked in and I'll be aware of what's happening. At the moment, I would like to see the continuation to the downside. I'm not worried about these intermittent levels here, or whatever you call them, whatever the word is. I'm not worried about these levels here. Just looking at the major structural highs and lows. And this is what I'll be anticipating next week, at least for 24 hours to 48 hours. The next pair that we'll take a look at is pound USD. Now we can clearly see the structure of this market has recently broke a trend line. Now we've had the structure pushing to the downside. We can see here the market created structural high, lower low, lower high, lower low, etc., etc. You get what I'm trying to point out here now, and a lower low. Now the market came back to the trend line, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why I keep saying whatever you want to call it. The market came back to the upside. We can see that it didn't hold any of its structural highs here. We saw a break above this level, and now look what the market is doing. The market is broken above the previous structural high, indicating continued bullish pressure, and now we see the market is coming back to its previous structural high, which is this level here, and now we're starting to see a reaction for a potential move to the upside. Now, the market doesn't need to respect this level 100%, but what we may see happen is either the market will come back to this level and hold before a continuation up, or we could anticipate at least the market to come back down to some of these major structural levels here, which is the first higher low that was formed before then seeing the market go up. So let's clear this up for you. You know what I'm looking for, which is buys. I'll be waiting to see how the market reacts at this structure level here. Is the market going to be able to continue up and make that new higher high, or are we going to be able to see, or will we be seeing the market come back down to some of these structural levels here, which is the first lower high that was formed? And then let's see what happens. If we get this right, it might help. There you go. And then we'll see what happens. If the market comes back down to this level also, I'll be looking for a continuation to the upside. So this is my bias on GU. At least for 24 to 48 hours, I've noticed that the trend line's been broken. The lower highs and the lower lows have been violated with this new structural high. I can see price coming back to some of these levels. Just be mindful of some of these structural highs here. We can see how price has created a level. We haven't broken above it yet. So it'll be very, very important, or before you take a buy, be very, very wary of your range back to some of these structural highs. And if we finally get above these levels, then we could be looking for some sort of take profits up and around the next highs, which are these levels here. So let's see how the market moves. If we start to respect these levels or come back to tap these higher lows, then I'll be looking for some continuations. Pretty simple analysis moving into next week. Very, very nice structure on GU, and we'll see how it plays out. Next pair we'll take a look at is Euro USD. I mean, this is an absolute shambles. We can see that the market structure's high is in and around these levels here. The market structural low is in and around these levels here. The market is moving sideways. And look, I don't control the markets, so for those who are coming in and like, Rox, this is boring stuff, don't blame me, my friends. This is what the market does sometimes, okay? When it's ranging, you know what we're looking for. We're waiting for the breakouts to the upside or the downside. Trading within these ranges is possible for sure, intraday trading, but I don't advise it if you're not experienced or you don't have a strategy that can trade those timeframes or those lower timeframes. Anyway, next pair we'll take a look at is Pound JPY. So again, almost identical structure with GU. You see this trend line of this structure has been broken, or the structure to the downside has been broken. We have a strong area in the market where price created a level, and now as you can see, price came back to this level, it's respected this level, and now we can see a reaction to the upside. Now, if I look and I take the structural high and the structural low, I can see that the market was moving sideways off of the back of this downtrend, and now we finally had this break above this structure. So for that reason, I would say now, moving into next week, for at least the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to be buy bias on pound yen. I'll be marking my major structural high or low, and I'll be identifying my levels in the market where we could come back to. If we start to break above these structures, then I'll be looking for price to come back to some of these major structural highs in the very near future if we get above them. And for buying opportunities, I would prefer to see price break above, retest this structure for continuation to the upside, or allow for the market to come back down to some of these lows. See if we come back to this structure level here in and around 59, 34, 59, and if we break above, look for some continuations to the upside. The ranges from this major structural high lows to the structural high that's current at the moment is 141 pips, which is a lot of pips. And then from this structure, if we get above it and get a retest, we have another 140 pips. It's pretty crazy to see how the ranges work when you mark up your key levels, identifying that the range from this level to this level is 140 pips, and then back to this level is 140 pips. And let's take the structure of where this level is back down to this level, and again you can see it's pretty similar, around 125. So look, let's see what happens. I'm not trading anywhere in the middle here or anywhere in the middle here. I'll be looking to see how price comes back to these key levels. But this is my analysis on pound yen. Next pair we'll take a look at is USD JPY. I mean, this is a pile of mess as well. But let's identify a couple of things here. When we was looking at the structure, this was our major high, this is our major low. Again, we've had a break above this structure, and now we have price indicating that it's not managing to push down to make any lower lows as of yet. We are holding in and around these levels, but we are also holding in and around these highs. For that reason, once we scale down to like our early time frame, you'll start to see a range in market. And I mean, look, being realistic here, is this something you're going to trade? I doubt it very much. So look, I mean, the structure is awful. But after this higher high has been made, what we're looking or anticipating for the market to do is pull back to create a higher low before continuing to the upside. In all honesty, the way the market's consolidating at the moment, I personally would prefer to see how the market breaks above these wick areas and these wick lows. And I'd want to see a strong momentum candle to the upside with a potential retest and then a continuation, and vice versa. If it breaks the lows, then I'll be looking for price to break, come back to these structures for a retest, and then look for that continuation to the downside. For now, that hasn't formed, and obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens when the market opens into Monday, at least Monday lunchtime, New York Open, to see how this market develops and creates these structures. For now, if the market does break the high, be very wary of a major structural high here. Price does not need to break these structures, and for a real major low, I'd work with this structure because it makes a lot of sense in terms of how this formation is built, and I'll be looking to see how price comes back down to these levels down here. Okay, so this is how I'll be looking at USD JPY, at least for the next 24 to 48 hours moving into next week. Next pair we'll take a look at is USD Swiss franc. So this structure is also moving sideways, structural high, structural low, and you can see the market is in a range. Again, pretty boring structure on this USD Swiss franc pair. Be waiting for the breakout to the upside or downside and see what happens. We could get technical here. We could start drawing our structural highs and structural lower highs and start scaling down to some of our lower time frames to look for some of these trading opportunities where price has created levels, come back to these levels and respected. So you could be looking for double tops. You could be looking for lower high formations within this structure as well once you get the momentum shift, and you can do that by scaling down to another lower time frame where you can start to see a trend change lower high formation wick rejections for selling opportunities. And these are all great trades to be taken if you know how to trade intraday. But if you don't, obviously stay out of the market for now. Wait for the market to get out of the major range, which you can see here, which is this big blue box, and leave these intraday trades alone until you're comfortable with scaling down. Okay. So this is how I'm looking at the market. Big old range here. Let's wait for true structure to form. That's my analysis on USD Swiss franc. Next pair we'll take a look at is USD CAD. I mean, this is a little bit prettier than USD Swiss franc, to be honest with you. We had a range high here and a low here. We had the breakout of this structure, and then look, price failed to break above. Okay, so this is indicating a lack in bullish pressure, bullish sentiment, whatever you want to call it. We're just seeing a lack in bullish something. So let's take our major structural high here. Let's identify what's happened. In previous history, we had a trend line to the upside. The market was trending up, as you can see here. We finally had this break below the structure, which is indicating this bearish pressure. Now, for major structure level lows, if we're looking for the market to come back down, it will be in and around some of these levels here. And if we're looking to sell this market, we're not going to sell it as the market's in this push phase. What we could be waiting for is for the market to pull back to in and around these levels here for potential retest as a level confirmed already in the past, and then look for some continuation to the downside. If the market doesn't manage to pull back to some of these levels and it continues down, I wouldn't buy off of this level, guys. I'd wait to see what happens, wait for the market to react, create a level, and then come back for a double bottom if you're buying. But if not, then we'll just be waiting for the break, the retest, and the continuation to the downside. So for now in USD CAD, I'm sell bias moving into next week, at least for 24 to 48 hours, as I keep on mentioning, but this is my analysis. Next pair we'll take a look at is gold. So again, gold's pushing to the upside for quite some time. We had a major structure level here that was violated. We see that price broke above this level and immediately broke back in, and now we're respecting this level. In all honesty, I don't think gold knows what it's doing. But if we take the major high and the major low of this, we can see the market's ranging. I don't care about this false breakout here. What I'd want to see for buying opportunities is just to see how the market can get out of this. Again, not worried about this. Get out of this consolidation. Look for some sort of pullback retest before continuation. And if it doesn't do that, then, you know, I don't know when it's going to do it, but I'll just be waiting for the break of the structure, retest, and then anticipating this bullish structure to turn bearish eventually. Because that's what it looks like it wants to do, but it hasn't been able to do for a period of time. So it'll be interesting to see how this forms next week. I mean, gold hasn't been the greatest pair to trade recently, but we'll see how it develops. For now, you know, just be mindful of the major high here. I did say I'm not bothered about it, but looking at it, you have to be bothered. It is a major structural high. So just be very mindful of this. This range increases dramatically as you scale down to your lower time frame. So don't be worried if the price breaks the structure and retest. You for sure will have enough range to buy this market back to the upside. If you're looking at how we could, you know, draw this, we have to make sure to have a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, and we for sure do have that. So let's see what happens with gold moving into next week. Next pair we'll take a look at is Aussie dollar USD. I mean, come on. We need to change our pairs now because this is awful. Structural low, structural high, range in market. Get out of here, not interested. New Zealand dollar USD, again, I mean, major structural low, major structural high. Let's pull it across. Let's see what happens. Now, we can see the market is forming like strong trend to the upside on the intraday time frames. You can see here the market pushing up with really, I mean, with hardly any pullbacks. It is indicating very strong bullish pressure. You know, we could call this a breakout and potentially look for some continuations. I would just be mindful that we have a major level here in the market where prices reacted to in the past. And every time it's come back to this level, it's not been able to break it. And then we had this strong rally. Look, if we remove this, we work with this structure, what I would say to you is let's see how we have a reaction from this level back to the downside. This could be a great selling opportunity since price hasn't come back to it for a long time. Don't just sell it because I said it's a good selling opportunity or could be a good selling opportunity. Wait for the market to develop. And in terms of structure level lows, you could be looking at some of these levels down here. I don't know why I've drawn it in with this one. Let's remove this and pop this one here. You could be looking at some of these lows here. This is obviously what a range does. It bounces from the top and the bottom. If it's trapped, then that's what it's going to do. So Let's see what happens. Again, not the cleanest of pairs, guys, so I would put it on a back burner until the structure develops, all right? Euro JPY, let's take a look at this. The structure of this market, I can see from a technical perspective, was down. We had a structural lower low. Price came back to a key level and was never able to really hold that or sustain holding this level. Eventually, we broke above it, and as you can clearly see, since then, we've just been hovering around this level. Now, I'd say there's still more bullish pressure than there is bearish pressure in this market structure, just simply because of the way the structure is forming. You can see the price action is making higher highs and higher lows. And for that reason, I would say I'm more buy bias. If I remove this, I would say that I'd be looking for the market to, again, get above some of these levels that it's failed to break above before, and then look for these retests and this continuation, just so that I can get that momentum shift that I'm looking for. And if the market does decide to take a real strong push to the downside, then I would say, you know, let's respect the double top pattern that we have here, that price failing to break above, and then let's look for some sort of retest. You want a retest area? I would say it will be in and around here. Okay, this is what I'll be looking for, something like this, and then I'll be looking for the retest in and around this level, for the continuation back down to some of these major structural lows here. All right, so this is my analysis on Euro Yen. For now, as I said, the markets will open with gaps. There will be some false moves to the upside and downside until the orders are placed, or, you know, buyers and sellers get back into the market. So let's just see what happens. Again, I prefer to see the buys. So that's the break above this structure. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of this. For the buyers, I'll be looking for the break above this structure, retest, continuation. For the sellers, we'll see the break, retest, and continuation to the downside. Okay. So next pair we'll take a look at is, whoa, hold on. Did we actually do all the pairs? We sure did. Okay. So look, I'm wishing everybody a great trading week. Let's just take a recap of this because, you know, the markets are not great. From the perspective of the dollar index, we can see it's ranging, it's moving sideways, no directional bias at the moment, which means it can go up and down. And for euro and for the dollar, that means it could go up and down. So there's no directional bias as to what's strong and what's weak at the moment. So be mindful of that, okay? Any structures that you're trading, make sure that they're clean. You understand what's actually happening. In terms of what we see here with the dollar, if we are, with the pound, if we are continuing to, you know, change bias on this structure in terms of bullish, bullish structure forming, then what we'll be looking for is a new higher high eventually. Retests of these levels, I would not be buying here. Just wait for the break, retest, continuation back to some of these highs. And if the market comes back to some of these lows, then don't look at this as being sell bias yet. See what kind of reaction we get, and see if we can get back to some of these highs. We may enter another mini range here if we haven't got a true directional bias on the dollar index, or yeah, that's it really. So just be mindful, wait for price to get back to some of these key levels before looking to trade it. USD, Euro USD is moving sideways. What a pile of rubbish. Just let it go for now until we get clear direction. Pound yen, along with pound USD, looks more bullish than bearish. So again, this is a sentiment. Just waiting for price to clear this high. I'm not buying into this high. Wait for the retest and then target some of these structures up here. And if we don't manage to get here just yet and we give a pullback to this major higher low, then I'll be looking for selling opportunities. The USD JPY doesn't look bad, doesn't look great. We have a mini range here. Whatever side it breaks to, I'll be expecting it to gravitate towards some of these structural highs or lows. So let's see how the market moves. USD Swiss franc just moving sideways. What a pile of rubbish. And then now we have USD CAD. This really looks like a nice setup that I'll be looking forward to seeing how price reacts at some of these key levels next week. We had this break of the trend line. Price failed to break above these highs. Nice bearish momentum, pullback. We're not making those higher highs. We're just making those lower highs. So I'd like to see some continuations back down to these lows before we have any sort of buy sentiment. So now sell bias, and we'll see how this one plays out. For gold, again, bullish structure turned into a range. We had a false breakout of this structure. Price broke back in, and now we're seeing it just hovering around where it's been sitting for a very long period of time. If price can break above 77.26, then you know, it would indicate more bullish than bearish pressure, but it would have to get above this high first before it does. So if it doesn't, then I'll be looking to sell from this level if given the evidence. If not, I prefer just to see a retest of this structure and then see if we can have some sort of continuation to the upside and see if we make that new higher high. Aussie dollar USD, pile of crap, let it go. Next pair we'll look at is New Zealand dollar USD. Next pair we'll take a look at is New Zealand dollar USD. We can see that the structure of this market is currently in a range at the moment with strong bullish pressure, expecting a higher high. If not, then I want to see a reaction from this level. I have popped in here as my plan A to sell this. So what I meant by see a new higher high is if this is bullish structure and the higher high is not formed, then this will just add confluence to my key level and looking and helping me, find more confidence in looking for those sells. Make sense? Maybe not, but who cares? Let's move on. Euro yen, we can see the structure of the market is to the downside. Break above this structure, we now see a range. I would like to see the market take out this high, its current high, before looking for continuation buys, retests. And if it doesn't manage to do that, then this double top here would indicate to me that the bullish pressure is depleting, and let's look for these sells. So I've hoped you enjoyed this analysis, guys and ladies. Make sure you smash that like button for me, subscribe, and until next time, take care.